What is your problem? I have a coworker who likes to ask me this question in an offhand, jokingly way. I usually find some humorous way to respond. For example, like when I quickly checked my pockets and then looked up to him and said, "Sorry, I left all my problems at home." But seriously, what is the biggest problem facing you right now? Is it one of those stubborn problems you just can't shake off? You just cannot solve it on your own. And what can you honestly do about it now? Hire a lawyer? See a counselor? Which do you think is more likely? Every kind of problem has some established way in our current system to effectively solve it. Or we desperately need a new way to address problems that get neglected and sometimes created by those we trust to fix them. Oncology identifies 4 levels of our persisting problems. Only Need Response addresses all 4 of these problem levels in a professionally disciplined process. Welcome aboard to Need Response, co-hosted by me, Steph Turner.
And me, Gustavo. Need Response is a new professional service responding to your needs in ways no other option can.
Join us today as we apply this new scientific understanding of your needs to your life. Together, we
Spread more love.
In episode 3, we understood how your pain always points to your unresolved needs. Any pain or any desire you feel alerts you to some affected need. The less you can resolve such inflexible needs, the more you suffer, as your ability to function declines. The more you resolve your needs, the better you can function as your emotional anguish fades away. Now, we build upon that foundation. In this episode, we get to different types of problems fueling your pain. You can readily remove cause for pain by solving those problems within your control. Other problems stretch beyond your control, and you find these delivering most of the pain you endure. Need Response specializes in addressing problems beyond anyone's personal control.
What exactly is the Need Response service?
Honestly, right now, I don't really know.
What? How can you not know what I thought you yourself created?
Roughly speaking, it's something of a cross between psychotherapy and legal services, but better than both, because Need Response addresses both the internal dimensions of wellness, like psychotherapy, and the external dimensions of wellness, like legal services.
And how does it do that?
Your guess is as good as mine.
That doesn't sound very encouraging.
Okay, seriously, Need Response currently exists more as a visionary service than an actual plan because its earliest concepts have yet to be tested. We're hoping our listeners can help test them.
Concepts? Like what?
Well, for one, designing a professional service that equips the client to endure the natural discomfort of fully resolving their needs, which neither psychotherapy nor legal services traditionally provide.
You mean both psychological services and legal services offer pain relief without effectively addressing the cause of such pain?
Yes, by helping to relieve the client's pain without addressing the cause, they risk perpetuating the client's pain because the pain exists to repeatedly warn of this overlooked threat.
If they win a legal battle, they may feel better for the moment. But legal services rarely, if ever, understand the painful needs behind our persistent problems.
Not like Need Response understands them. And that's just one unique concept that sets Need Response apart.
Any other concepts that stand out as unique to need response?
Yeah, Need Response serves as a uniquely socially supportive experience. Psychotherapy is typically a private matter between the client and psychotherapist, or a closed group thing among similar sufferers. Legal services tend to be kept as a closed matter between the client and attorney.
Not need response.
Need Response breaks that isolationist mold by daring to build a support network to resolve stubborn needs. It helps the client build the support they need to speak truth to power.
But in a way that encourages those in authority to truly listen and then want to help that client.
Exactly. As long as the client and their support team follow our discipline protocols and not lapse into acrimonious opposition.
which some are driven to do.
Which is why we must be careful who we serve, at least at the start, and not rush into this while developing it from scratch.
Is there anyone that the need response service is not for?
Yes, this service is not meant for those with a severe cognitive disorder or mental illness.
Like those with bipolar disorder or narcissistic personality disorder.
Yes, and let me point out that Onecology considers the term mental illness as a synecdoche.
A what?
A synecdoche. That's a figure of speech where we use a part of something to represent the whole, or vice versa, like boots on the ground to refer to soldiers.
Or a hired hand.
Yeah, another good example.
If you hire someone, you need more than just their hand.
Onecology recognizes our behavioral problems occur in part within our mental processes, but also involve many factors outside of our cognition.
So we speak of mental illness to refer to the whole of wellness, or lack of it.
Yes, it's easy to overlook the external factors when taking the synecdoche literally, as if you could fix such complicated problems by simply changing the way you think about it.
We in the West insist upon personal responsibility to say everyone has personal agency and avoid faulting the system for our own faults.
Right. But taken to extremes, we fault each other for things beyond our personal control.
Which needlessly stigmatizes the client.
Yes, it does. Need response is different. Need response uniquely covers both the internal and external dimensions of wellness.
Good, more holistic.
Instead of trying to change the individual client, need response tries to change the power relations hindering their full potential and well being.
To counterbalance the extreme of over responsibility.
Yes, instead of guiding the client to adjust to a messed up world, need response guides a messed up world to adjust to the client by responding better to the inflexible needs of us all, one client at a time.
But clients not too damaged by this messed up world, right?
Yes,
Even when need response understands the damage, it's not all their fault, if any at all.
true. Anxiety disorders, for example, rarely, if ever, occur in a vacuum. Something external overwhelmed the person's defenses. Trauma set in. Damage took root. Wellness declined. What we label as mental illness could actually be life hanging onto a thread of hope.
But such a person may lack the capacity to utilize need response.
Yes, at least as a direct client, they could possibly support a client in the periphery and potentially gain something from that vantage point.
How does need response sort this out?
The service screens applicants to determine if this service is a good fit for them. And first, they must recognize their problem involves a mix of internal things they can change with some external factors beyond their control. Or it may not work for them at all.
So need response may not be a good fit for those with a personality disorder.
Exactly. Personality disorders are a class of mental illnesses categorized as egosyntonic, which means those exhibiting such a malady do not readily recognize how the problem exists in them. To ease their suffering, they're quick to blame others.
I can see anyone going to the extreme of blaming others for every problem, or the opposite extreme of blaming themselves for everything they suffer. Will not be able to utilize the disciplined approach of need response.
Yes, highly unlikely. That's what professional psychological services are for, like psychiatry. Psychiatry serves those with severe functional disorders. Counseling serves those not so disordered but struggling with personal problems.
Social workers could help them address external conditions, but probably not like need response.
Right. Until now, no similar service helps the highly functional whose wellness is threatened by a seemingly unsolvable problem. And no available service incentivizes those in authoritative positions to support those at risk of being overwhelmed by a problem beyond their control.
Those who get overwhelmed by such a problem beyond their control, well, I can see a risk of developing a mental disorder.
Yes, they risk slipping into a mental health crisis. Many do. Too many already have fallen off the cliff into dysfunctional despair because of multiple problems beyond their personal control.
We need a service that addresses multiple levels of problems.
And you know that's exactly what need response is for.
I knew you were going to say that.
Unlike any other professional service, it exists to serve all four levels of human problems.
Let's cover all four of these in this featured clip.
Oncology recognizes four levels of human problems. This gives need response its secret sauce. 1. Personal problems. You can solve these problems by changing something on your own, like shifting your attitude, or adjusting your assumptions, or changing your behavior. 2. Interpersonal problems. You can solve these with the cooperation of another of equal social status as you. For example, negotiating how to do a job with your coworker. 3. Power problems. You can only solve this with the cooperation with someone of greater influence than you, such as your boss when they exploit you. 4. Structural problems. You can only solve this complex problem by adjusting or transforming well-established social norms, like changing established laws or social customs. Need response exists to address all these problem levels: personal problems, interpersonal problems, power problems, and structural problems. Psychotherapy primarily serves personal problems, with family therapy addressing personal and interpersonal problems. With some exception with social workers, psychotherapy tends to be ill-equipped to address power or structural problems. The judiciary addresses interpersonal conflicts, but tends to sidestep the structural causes of many conflicts. Indeed, it can become a structural problem itself. Politics ideally addresses structural problems, but too often it also becomes a problem itself. Need response addresses all four levels in a more accountable way with what it calls a wellness campaign. The campaign initially focuses on any personal problem you can clear up with a little support, then moves on to addressing interpersonal problems as you build a support team to take on bigger challenges. Next, your support team has your back as you speak truth to power to address any power problem in your way. Finally, you address structural problems with a diverse team ready to help you inspire transformative change to society with the power of love. No other service comprehensively addresses all four of these problem levels. Exactly how will be explored in upcoming issues of this podcast. Subscribe to be sure you get every episode each Wednesday to stay up to date with this emerging new service. Learn more about the Wellness Campaign and these four problem levels at oncologyfoundation.org. You don't have to put up with your stubborn problems anymore.
How does the need response service specifically cover all four of these problem levels?
With what it calls a wellness campaign.
A wellness campaign?
Yes, the client meets online with one of our professional need responders.
Professional? Are there other kinds of need responders?
Yes, in the broadest sense, anyone can be a need responder informally.
Oh,
A newborn baby responds to their mother's need for meaning. Oncology considers such a baby as an informal need responder.
and there's a formal kind?
Uh-huh. Anyone improving their responsiveness to needs with our programs becomes a formal need responder.
Programs?
Yes, we're developing online programs, e-courses, if you will, to formalize how to effectively respond to one another's inflexible needs.
As a disciplined approach.
Precisely. For example, the AF, the Oncology Foundation, provides an e-course to help you expand your tolerance for discomfort, which can be necessary to endure the natural discomfort to fully resolve a need or needs.
Yes, but for a price, I presume.
Not expensive. The first program is totally free.
Nice. I can afford totally free. Now, getting back to this wellness campaign and professional need responder.
Yes, the AF trains and credentials these formal need responders as professional need responders.
So, a formal need responder while in training, then a professional need responder when completing such training.
Yes,
Something like vocational or academic training.
pretty much. Once completing all the essential training online, the AF affirms the trainee as a professional need responder.
That's it?
The newly minted professional need responder works with a veteran professional need responder on a client's actual wellness campaign, then becomes accredited when helping such a client meet their goals and measurably improve their well being.
Accredited. Another level.
Yes, from informal to formal, from formal to professional, then publicly trustworthy when accredited. When anyone in the public can know they have demonstrated their ability to help solve one of these stubborn problems in a client. Would you hire someone without some assurance they can actually help you?
Probably not.
The newly minted need responder assists a veteran need responder throughout a wellness campaign as a kind of apprentice. The more experienced professional need responder delegates more and more to the newer need responder with the client's understanding and permission.
Oh, I see.
Together, they help the client meet their wellness goal, which is to solve or overcome their presenting problem, their previously stubborn problem.
Like canceling an onerous debt, or persuading their health insurer to honor the claim, or helping them overcome a wrongful conviction.
Precisely. Each of your examples covers a niche area. A professional need responder could specialize in helping clients overcome financial barriers, while another could specialize in exonerating the wrongly convicted innocent.
By helping each client reach their particular wellness goal in a wellness campaign.
Yes,
What does one of these wellness campaigns look like? I mean, how does a wellness campaign address all four problem levels?
the PNR, to abbreviate Professional Need Responder, the PNR guides a client through the first phase of the campaign, called the base phase.
Okay,
Together, they isolate and address all that the client can do on their own about the identified problem.
like keeping a healthy attitude.
Yeah, that's one thing within their control. But unlike psychotherapy, we don't expect the client to adjust internally to harsh conditions created largely by others.
No, I suppose not.
We exhaust all they can do for themselves to merely set the next phase, the team phase.
Ah, then we get to areas overlooked by traditional psychotherapy.
Yes, we do. We build a team of supporters to help them identify and address all those external factors. Only then can we honestly expect a meaningful solution to their identified problems to ever take root.
Can you give an example?
Yeah, think of the client who's been wrongly convicted, released from custody, and cannot do anything more on their own to overcome repeated discrimination. They've been repeatedly denied legal help from all the lawyers they've asked.
That must suck.
Yes, it does. In fact, it's what I continually endure, so I'm creating what I myself need.
And you could use a support team to help you meet or even take on all the unjust discrimination you endure.
Definitely. But this team phase eventually segues into the grow phase.
Grow phase?
Yes, you see, this support team consists of the client's peers, their social capital, their supportive family and friends.
I see.
They serve as a kind of support environment for backing the client to speak truth to power.
The clients speak their truth to power in the grow phase?
Well, not quite.
Oh,
They warm up to such a challenge by first addressing others in professional positions, others who are not directly in authority over them.
oh, I see. They practice speaking truth to power to those who could give them some helpful feedback.
Now you've got it.
What would this look like for your example? For the client who is a wrongly convicted innocent.
Before the wrongly convicted innocent client approaches court officials, we guide them to replace the adversarial approach with our mutuality approach with their lawyer, or with whatever innocence litigator or innocence project they might be working with.
So you get these lawyers involved in the need response process.
Yes, the client support team invites these lawyers, these professionals, to shift away from mutually defensive adversarialism and try our mutually engaging alternative. We introduce a whole fresh approach to problem solving.
What if they resist or don't reply?
Then they expose themselves as unresponsive. They risk being found complicit in these stubborn problems.
So you move on. You keep looking for others more willing to try this problem solving alternative.
Uh huh. This process assesses each one's responsiveness to the inflexible needs of all involved. That may not be for everyone, especially when this service is so new and relatively unknown. Those who remain unresponsive then exclude themselves from something wonderful.
Like getting to the next phase, the go phase.
Yes, that's where things get interesting. The client gathers support to finally speak truth to power in a way that incentivizes the powerful to respectfully listen.
What does this look like, for example, for the wrongly convicted innocent?
This client's expanding support network invites the relevant prosecutor and court to acknowledge the compelling case for the client's innocence. The client support can build immense momentum to the point that the prosecutor and courts risk losing legitimacy for persisting in their innocence denial.
Innocence denial?
Yes, that's actually a thing. Prosecutors who refuse to admit that they made any costly mistakes or irrationally denied that their predecessors made any egregious miscarriages of justice. Prosecutors retain the legal privilege to be self-righteous.
And the law lets them.
Oversight remains sparse. Prosecutors enjoy absolute immunity, so they cannot be sued even when they knowingly break the law and violate a defendant's rights.
That doesn't seem right.
Well, it's understandable that prosecutors must be able to do their job without fear of answering for every little mistake. But if power corrupts, then you can see how this has emerged as not only a power problem, but also at a structural problem level.
Ah, now you're getting back to those problem levels.
Prosecutorial misconduct rarely gets punished. It's now easier for the accused to humbly admit their human imperfections than for police and prosecutors to humbly admit their human imperfections.
Can't a judge step in and hold such a prosecutor accountable?
No, not like in the past. Legislation passed in the 1980s and 90s took discretion away from trial judges during the fear-mongering politics of get tough on crime.
Oh, for example?
Like sentencing laws that require the judge to impose an onerous sentence on a minor drug offense, forcing the judge to ignore extenuating circumstances.
Extenuating circumstances? Like what?
I'm trying to think of one. Yes. Like when the teenager caught with an ounce of crack hidden in the pants he bought from a stranger. The law only cares about possession of such drugs, not how it got there.
Oh,
Some of these laws have been amended to give more attention to these kind of details, but instead of solving the problem, this legal approach merely changes hands for who owns the power problem. Judges still don't enjoy the kind of sentencing discretion they employed decades ago.
oh,
This effectively grants more power to prosecutors whose indictments come with legally defined sentences, which this prosecutor could use to leverage against a defendant, effectively coercing innocent defendants into accepting a plea bargain to avoid a terrifyingly long prison sentence.
sounds more like a structural problem and not just a power problem.
Yes, both actually. The adversarial legal system incentivizes, at a structural level, this objectifying of innocent defendants. With this increased power, prosecutors are often incentivized to abuse their discretion, and some do.
Like how?
Well, like Brady violations.
Brady violations?
U.S. law compels every prosecutor to make available to the defense any exculpatory evidence. any findings that can help convince a jury that the defendant could be innocent, or at least not guilty as accused.
And prosecutors don't always do this.
With little accountability, prosecutors repeatedly commit such Brady violations. Now, to be fair, some of these are inevitable, as the prosecutor's bias may blind them from realizing something in their files could favor the defendant's side. But this just goes to point to the many damaging flaws built into the adversarial system that reinforces power problems with privilege structural problems.
Which need response seeks to correct or counter.
Yes, by addressing all problem levels, prosecutors abusing their discretion to cover up their wrongdoing exists as a power problem, but the adversarial system incentivizing them to evade admission of these errors exists as a structural problem.
Need response counters with its mutuality process, right?
Yes, and more. It raises the bar. It measures success not by a prosecutor's conviction rate or even by reduced levels of reported crime, but by the aggregate wellness level of all in their jurisdiction. Only need response dares to pursue this more noble standard and challenge the legitimacy of anyone who dares stand in the way.
That seems like a tall order, like something they'd claim was more the responsibility of each individual.
Archaeology already debunks this notion of hyper-individuality, of expecting individuals to take more responsibility than warranted by an honest assessment of the situation they're in.
The base and team phases can bring out what the individual can do.
Yes, and the grow and goal phases can bring out what we all can do together.
But is that always enough? What if the client's problem still persists?
You're right, a wellness campaign could reveal insurmountable barriers, but such barriers tend to be social fictions.
Social fictions?
They can be changed by transforming social norms and cultural ways. Need response seeks to transform how we address conflicts by leaning less heavily on the law's adversarial approach. Jumping off with its acrimonious assumptions while overlooking mutuality options, the adversarial legal process can be cited as a structural problem.
How does this look with our example, the wrongly convicted innocent?
Need response invites the prosecutor to rethink the question conviction on two levels.
Okay,
On the first level, it works with their adversarial approach. We provide the innocence claimant or their supporters with a form that automatically calculates the viability of their innocence claim.
you talk about this in episode 2. I think you called it the estimated innocence form.
Yes, the EIF for short. They can present it to the innocence project they're working with. Innocence litigators can find it helpful, as it pre-processes the claim they typically do by hand.
You shared previously how this form is already available to the public.
Yes, I can share the link in the description. One link is for the innocence claimant or their supporters. The other link is for innocence litigators in case they want to send this form to the innocence claimant or their supporters.
Both links provide the same form?
Yes, just different landing pages to different kinds of users for this form.
Both forms allow data to be inputted and then outputted in a shareable report?
Yes, both produce what's called an estimated innocence report, which provides a summary of the results and can be printed out, along with the calculated estimated level of actual innocence.
Why isn't it available at anarchaeologyfoundation.org? Why only at veryrelating.com?
Lack of time, essentially. I want to replicate it here at the Archaeology Foundation website when I can find the time. Maybe I will by the time this episode gets published.
You were saying this works on two different levels?
Yes, the second level moves past adversarialism. The second form is called responsive innocence, and it's already available at the Archaeology Foundation website.
You will add this link in the description.
Yes, thanks for reminding me. Anyone can download this form, but since it shifts from the adversarial process, it's best applied with a professional need responder.
And anyone can hire a professional need responder to take this to the second level.
Not yet. You know, this whole process has been caught in a series of catch-22s.
Catch 22s?
Yes, I can't do this until that over there gets done, but I can't do that until this other thing gets accomplished, which waits for the first item to show some progress. Back to square one.
Frustrating, huh?
Yeah, and a little discouraging at times. How do I challenge structural problems that hinder me from addressing structural problems?
Yes, how indeed?
Starting this podcast is one answer. Then inviting listeners to engage us to help us create a solution personally meaningful for them.
You need their input to better serve their needs.
Very true. We're in flux. Content on the website created weeks ago could already be outdated. That stuff has yet to adjust to changing market demands.
And I think you want to respond to other persistent needs, such as healthcare claim denials, like the kind leading to the murder of the United Healthcare CEO.
Yes, the demand could be great, but I must start small. So I aim to start with what I know best, and that's addressing the persisting problem of wrongly convicted innocent people.
And you can't do that alone.
Definitely not. That's where the listener comes in. We need them to engage us, to help us create a service responsive to their particular needs.
We need their input.
Yes, listeners can offer their feedback casually by commenting to this episode on YouTube, or they can become more involved by joining our community of need responders at our AF website.
Then we can build a wellness campaign format around what we learn will actually help them solve their problems on all levels.
To recap how a wellness campaign covers all four problem levels, I give you this short clip. A wellness campaign can have 4 or 5 phases. An optional ally phase is offered for situations where the key client cannot be present, such as the incarcerated, wrongly convicted innocent. The ally phase follows the base phase prior to the team phase. In the base phase, the professional need responder works one-on-one with the client online. They lay a foundation for the campaign to meet the client's wellness goal, like exoneration. They cover all the personal level problems they can identify. In the team phase, the campaign onboards the client's support team. Team members serve on 3 levels. 1. The follower joins for free. They stay informed of the campaign's progress. 2. The supporter joins for $5 per week. They stay involved with the campaign. 3. The contributor joins for $25 per week. They participate at the center of the campaign and benefit the most from its secondary benefits. Together, the team can address any lingering interpersonal problems. In the grow phase, the campaign onboards professionals with some indirect role in the client's goal. They can offer their support for free or invest in the wellness goal with some return on investments. They help the team prepare the way for the final phase. Together, the expanding team takes on some power problems. In the final goal phase, the campaign equips the client to speak truth to power. The campaign inspires those in positions of authority to adopt this need-responsive alternative of mutual regard. Ineffective adversarialism moves over for the more successful potential to honor each other's inflexible needs. Along the way, the team redresses structural problems with the authority of love. A successful campaign offers the irresistible alternative of love, of honoring the needs of others as our healthier selves would have them honor our own. A successful campaign melts resistance with its power of love. A successful campaign effectively addresses all problem levels. Our problems usually persist because of something outside of ourselves hindering us from resolving our inflexible needs. Now we have a way to more effectively identify and resolve such needs. We have need response to produce quality outcomes which matter more than mere authority or law.
Results matter.
Yes, they do. Need response exists to address the larger problem of not having any professional options to help us fully resolve all of our affected needs on all problem levels.
We need something new, something not yet tried, something still untested. We need response.
As Buckminster Fuller put it, You never change anything by fighting the existing reality. To change something, build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete. Need response is that new model. Subscribe to the Need Response podcast to stay informed about this visionary service. Learn more about what this new service of Need Response is all about. Join the Need Responder community to help us create this much-needed service. We give you 3 options to fit your needs. You will see these mirror the Wellness Campaign options, which helps us test its marketability. Each option starts for free, with the first one staying free. Follower. Follow developments of the Need Response service. Learn what this new service can do for you. Free. Always free. Supporter. Support development of the Need Response service. Help shape this new service to address your own particular needs and stubborn problems. For only $5 a month, after a 7-day trial for you to test the waters for free. Contributor. Contribute directly to the development of the Need Response service. Become a professional need responder in high demand to help us all solve stubborn problems, improving our overall wellness along the way. For only $25 a month, after a 7-day trial for you to start for free. Go to AnnaKennedy-Foundation.org to become a member today and experience for yourself the warm embrace of this mutually supportive environment. Check this episode's description for more information. Together, we can make some history. Together, we can spread some much-needed love.
We're breaking down barriers imposed by excessive conventionality. That includes imposing conventions of platform algorithms. If catching this podcast on social media, like YouTube, go ahead and click like and subscribe. But we'd rather you share this by word of mouth. Yes, follow us on Spotify. Download now and listen to it later. Tell your friends. Go ahead and tell your enemies. Spread the word that we're trying to spread some love. If we collectively fail to love each other more and support each other's inflexible needs, eventually none of these platforms will matter all that much. Results matter, don't they? And you matter more than power or systems. That's our own radical way of trying to say we're subverting norms, like platform algorithms serving tech elites, so that you can know you're being loved.
Stay tuned each week to follow how we build this much-needed service.
Next week, we unpack our different levels of wellness, of our functionality.
We illuminate why so much is going wrong in society today and offer a love-nurturing solution to this permeating problem.
See you there.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Need Response. We look forward to serving you next time, bringing you more insights and inspiration into serving your needs. Subscribe to Need Response wherever you get your podcasts. A new episode is ready for you each Wednesday morning. Until then, let's spread some love.